Morning. It's the 11th of October and I'm tidying up my yard for winter. I've really got to do it because this is where all my snow's going to get piled for winter, so I've got to clean all this area up. I'm not doing a bad job so far. One thing I've got to think about is a Salisbury axle down here. Now this was off Jeff's project and it was kind of bad for the mountings and the rust on it, and he wanted me to refurbish it, but I think the cost of it was going to be too much for him to pay me, so he ended up getting another axle from Rovers North. The problem with it is, let's see if I can zoom in down here. You see the mountings here, they're so bad they've rusted off completely. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma as to repair it or not. You know, you can buy all the bits and pieces. Well, not necessarily, because if you remember, we had a Puma axle a while ago. So I cut the bits off and I've got all the mountings here. Here I need the shock mount, I need this, and possibly the roll bar mounting, I'm not sure. Just out of interest, look how thick it is. It's an amazingly thick. A pity they didn't have paid much attention to the diff. But anyway, so do I spend time on this axle and give it a quick sandblast, get it in the shop and see what it's like? Now I don't want to get sand in the bearings, so I might just lift it up. Oh well, have I got anywhere to lift it off? Oh, maybe. Take the hubs off and the brakes. The brakes actually were nice and shiny when it came in. And I had a look at the diff, and Jeff said it was good, and again it was good, but he had an ARB cover on it which he wanted to keep, and I just put an old one on there. So that's alright. But I don't think it'd take much to sandblast, and it's a bit of a bloody miserable day today, but it's not raining. I don't know. Should I sandblast it? You know I'm going to do it. Otherwise it's scrap. Because I could take the diff out and the pinion and keep it for another job, but how long do I keep them? They never go wrong. Well, bearings go wrong, but bearings are replaceable, but crown wheels and pinions, very rare. Well, I've got the axle in the shop, just suspended, and having a look at it, and I'm having a reassessment of it because I thought I was going to have to replace these bits, but these are kind of strong, but the holes are a bit worn for the shocks. Now an old trick I used to do was get these bush mountings. They've got a little recess on here and they're curved, convex or something. And then I used to weld them like that. And that used to beef up these housings, you know, this bracket, and eliminate that wibbly wobbly, because when you put those together you've got a nice space and it locates and it's nice and strong. So I might just do that. You may be able to see how weak this is here. Oh no, I'm off camera a bit. Oh, bear with me. You can see how weak this is, because even when I lift it on the chain this has started to bend, so that's not good. So really in effect I might only have to change these mountings here and the spring mount. Well, that's excellent. Now, before I get on to doing this, oh sorry, I went a bit wild there. I'm going to attack this with my needle gun. And the reason for that is that I can get a majority of the rust off just by breaking it off, and there's less to sandblast. You see what I mean? Because it's cold out today, it's 7 degrees, and it's damp. So let me get the hubs off, let me get these bits off here, because they're still turning, they're really nice, and yeah, we'll assess this. I think it's going to be good. So after an hour with the needle gun, because it's now 10:30ish, you can see all the flaky rust that's come off, and that would be stuff that would have to be sandblasted off. So what we're doing is trying to save a little bit of time on this cleanup. So the next thing I'm going to do is take off the brackets down here for the brakes, because I want to get round the back, and then we'll just put some nuts and bolts through it to all these spindles on here. And then once it's blasted, like I say, I'm not going to blast around these bits as a waste of time, you know, the bits that need cutting off, but basically just the tubes and the body. And really it's not that bad, it's just so time consuming. Anyway, back in a bit. So just before sandblasting, I go around it with a flap wheel and take even more loose dirt and dust off. The problem with the needle gun is it leaves little pock marks in, so I just smooth them out a little bit with that, makes them look nice. And it's less sandblasting. Sandblasting's an awful, mucky, filthy job, but somebody's got to do it, and it's usually me. So I'm going to put this on the bench outside. I won't film it because I don't want to get dust in my camera, but we'll see the results when we come back, and I'll sweep the floor up and put it back on the stands. Well, that's it sandblasted. Oh man, it's just started to rain as well, started to really rush. The bits that already had paint on, I didn't bother. That paint's stuck really well. So the next thing is I've got to blow it off, because the rain had stuck some of the sand to it. I'll blow that off, and I'm just going to give it a light coat of paint for now, just to stop it going rusty.